Welcome to the Marshall High School here in Marshall, Minnesota. Minnesota State High School League volleyball action tonight as the Marshall Tigers take on the New Ulm Eagles. Sam Prell alongside Matt Metzler for tonight's game. And Matt, this should be a good one.
Yeah, you got a good team with Marshall Tigers. They've won, they've won 7 games at home, 7 matches at home, well 6 on the road. They're 16-3. They're looking good. They're looking at like they got another chance to go to state just like they did last year.
Marshall is 7-2 at home. So 2 of their 3 losses coming here at home. So usually the home team has an advantage, but for Marshall, it hasn't worked out that way this year. All the losses they have are coming here on their home court.
Well, in that last match that we didn't cover, you and I personally didn't cover, but that Studio One did, they barely beat Jackson County Central. It was a 3-2 game or match where the Tigers came out on top.
You can see it's college theme night here in Marshall. You can see the student section there, and Matt, we may have competition. If ESPN's covering this, I think they may have the advantage over us.
Well, it looks like they got 4 announcers down there. 2 of them could be the English, 2 of them could be for our Spanish listeners as well.
Tonight's Big South Conference match features the New Ulm Eagles and your Marshall Tigers.
New Ulm comes into tonight 10-10. They're 3-6 on the road, 2-2 at home. So they are struggling a little bit, but either way, it could be good. It's a good match. We are going to step aside for the national anthem. You're watching Tiger Volleyball on Tiger TV. We are back after the national anthem. The rules are being read for the Minnesota State High School League, and then we'll have announcement of the teams and starting lineups. Matt, what does Marshall have to do tonight here to pick up a crucial win for them?
Well, three big keys for the Tigers tonight is obviously can't give up service errors. You got to win the points off serves. You can't give them; those are free points for the other team. It's tough. The last time we worked, they had 5 service errors in the first set. They went on to lose that set, but at the end of the game, they didn't have as many service errors, and they were able to close out the last 3 sets. Second is you got to be able to get points off of blocks. That's one thing you've been able to. That's one thing as a front line you've been able to do is get a lot of points. Is to get points off of blocks, because that really helps you, especially with your when you kill it back to the other side, because maybe the other team isn't blocking as well. And finally, again, is got to win the long volleys. When it gets about 3-4 times on each side, that's usually free points for anybody, and you got to capitalize on those.
In the last match that Studio One covered for Marshall, it was that game against Brookings where you had that rare occasion where a team from another state comes over and you play a game with them. And Brookings only being about an hour and a half away here from Marshall, Matt, it's a great opportunity to see competition that you're never going to see for the rest of the year. Just give you a little break from your regular conference and section matchups, and you get to see a different team.
Well, especially because Tigers have been so dominant the last few years in their section, in their conference, it gives you a chance to maybe see a team from a different state that could be the Marshall of their state, where they dominate their section, and it gives them a chance, if they do make it deep in the playoffs, gives them a chance to play better teams, so they're ready for the better teams in the postseason.
See Marshall's team being announced. We will have the starting lineups announced. Now Marshall is undefeated in conference and section play. So like you mentioned, Matt, with the dominance that they're having, we're slowly winding to the end of the regular season. We're probably going to see them back at state volleyball once again.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. They went there last year. Again, they have a lot of returning players, quite a few seniors, quite a few juniors. And again, one player to look out for is Logan Sherman. She's a setter. She can do almost everything. She can set, she can block, and she can spike the ball as well.
That game against Brookings, Marshall got off to a very slow start, got absolutely blown out in that first set, and then the sets after that, everything seemed to be clicking. Almost took them a little bit to warm up. Their blocks were working. They weren't having nearly as many service errors, and the script seemed to be flipped, where Brookings was having all of the problems Marshall had in the first set. So we'll see if Marshall can maybe get off to a hotter start tonight.
And the one thing too is when you're spiking ball trying to get kills, don't be afraid to keep trying to go through the hands, because that was one thing the Tigers weren't able to do in the first set against Brookings. They keep hitting into the hands of the Brookings blockers, but in the second, third, fourth set, they're able to find a little bit of holes, get some room in there, get some good bounces off the players. They're able to get points.
One person Matt already mentioned, Logan Sherman. She has that power. Even though she is a setter, she is not afraid to hit the ball and get points for her team.
And again, Jones is another person to look out to. She's an outside hitter. She will get a lot of those kills for the Tigers.
We look at the starters out on the floor for Marshall. We got number 1, Logan Sherman. Number 3, Erica Jones. Number 6, Paige Andrews. Number 9, Bria Morris. Number 14, Jordan Hilgeman. And number 15, Rachel Schwartz. And as you see there, Maya Schneibly coming onto the floor. The libero cannot start a match in volleyball. So Jordan Hilgeman gets a start, but then is immediately subbed back out, and we are underway here in Marshall. Erica Jones with the first serve, and that one is sailed way out of bounds by Madeline Gagg for the Eagles. Marshall jumps out to an early lead.
And that's good decision there by Marshall to let that ball go. It's tough sometimes when you're up front, see how far back that ball's going to go, but great job there letting it go out of bounds.
Hit over by the Eagles, a little misplayed, but Marshall will be able to get it back over. Hit coming. That was Ashlyn Donner, and that one is in. So we will be tied up 1-1, and we will get an early substitution here for the Eagles.
And a great spike there. There's a little difference between the two blockers up front for the Tigers, and allowed a little space for the kill to go through, and New Ulm gets on the board.
That serve over, nice set there by Marshall. It's set back over. That's Paige Andrews. She will sub out immediately, so Marshall now takes a 2-1 lead in the libero. Maya Schneibly back to serve.
And if you look at that replay, there's a lot of room in the middle of the court, so an easy spike spot for Andrews.
Schneibly back to serve. She will get it over, played nicely by Donner. Tipped over, and that is going to be a net violation. That's on Madeline Gagg. Ran into the net.
And it's early in the first set, but those errors will come back to haunt you if you keep giving up points like that.
Schneibly back once again to serve. It's a low one, and it is sent right back down by Jordan Hilgeman. So I came a little bit too far over it. She sent it right back where the Eagles were not.
And great vision there by Hilgeman, seeing the open spot to her left and able to just two-hand it, tap it over for the easy point.
That is an ace for Schneibly.
And that's one thing too, if you're the Tigers, you want to get aces on your serves. That's the easiest way to get points.
That one sent back over. That's dug up by the libero. Nicole Albrecht. Sent back by Marshall. The Eagles able to send it over. Tigers now with it. They'll go to Bria Morris, and that one lands in. Marshall rolling early here.
I couldn't tell there. It may have looked like it got tipped up front where it would have taken a little bit of deflection. It doesn't look like that on that back side camera. So, and it did look like it stayed in. It would have bounced right on the line.
So a little bit of that curve for that ball. So Marshall taking an early commanding lead. Dug out there by the Eagles. Set, and it is going to Olivia Wick. Sent down with authority by Jordan Hilgeman. She was not going to be denied that point.
And one thing, if the Eagles too, you're getting a little opposition on these somewhat long volleys. You got to make sure you don't get too spaced out because leave the holes for Marshall spikers.
Sent over, easy play for Marshall. Schwartz with it. At Sherman, she'll just tap it over. Didn't really have good position. That's Donner, and it's sent right back in her face. Marshall with a good block.
And that's, I believe, the second point off of a block so far for the Tigers in this set. And one thing we see with the Tigers is when they get an early lead, they usually do not relinquish the lead.
Hadley sending it over. She's been serving this entire time. Olivia Wick sends it over. Little misplayed. That'll result in a point for the Eagles. That hit came a little awkwardly off of Wick. Morris just couldn't play it.
And that was big for the Eagles. They were on the wrong side of a Marshall run. Able to get the point. They need to keep this going. They need to be able to keep the serve.
Donner back. Little over by Schwartz. Nice job to not get into the net. That one is tipped over and in. Jones could not play it cleanly.
And great job there by New Ulm. They saw there was only one player back for the Tigers going that right side. Easy point.
Schwartz sets it up. Sherman coming in and right down.
And again, big spike there by Logan Sherman, who's one of the top setters for the Tigers. But again, she's able to do almost everything you ask her to do.
Sherman back to serve. She'll float it right over. Set there, sending back over into the net. Replayed back. Sherman with the set. Bach coming in. Set over, blocked right back. And Nora Windshield could not figure out what to do with that ball.
And it looked early on in that rally that there might have been 4 hits by the Eagles during that point. Referees sideline play, and the Tigers still end up with the point.
Sherman serving once again. Hit over weakly by Olivia Wick, but it works out as they score another point.
And again, Marshall, they were spaced out a little bit. There's just enough room to get that spike in.
So where a majority of the Eagles' points are coming tonight is hitting the ball where Marshall is not. Set up in the air, and that one sent right back, but out of bounds. Nice hit by Jordan Hilgeman. Hit that ball hard enough, bounced right off of the defense and out of bounds.
Sometimes you don't need to hit through the blocker's hand. Sometimes it just hits a body part, falls out of bounds.
It's Bria Morris back serving now for Marshall. She'll send it over, dug out by the Eagles. Windshield with it, and it is out. No tip by Marshall. They are taking a commanding lead in this first set.
And a great job by Marshall letting that ball go. We've seen a couple times earlier on this year where they decide, well, we're going to hit it. Well, it clearly looks like it'll be out. They come back and haunts them because they end up hitting it out of bounds themselves. But they're doing a great job watching the ball go out of bounds.
Bach with a spike and misdirection off of Donner. And we're going to get a timeout here by the Eagles. Marshall leads early in this game. They're up by 9. You're watching Marshall Volleyball on Tiger TV.
What to expect when you're expecting.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Marshall takes a commanding lead. They're up 13-4 in this matchup against New Ulm. That one's sailing way out. Looked like it maybe hit the line, but the line judge says that it sails out. We'll get a point here for New Ulm.
It looked pretty close, but it did look like it was on the right side of that line. But a great job by New Ulm letting that ball go. And that's the second service error the Tigers committed here in the first set.
Not nearly as much as they committed in that first set against Brookings. But you start racking those up, and it can come back to haunt you. That one hits off of the net, and fortunately for the Eagles, it goes over. That's just unfortunate.
What a good way for if you're New Ulm to get your first ace is to have it hit the net. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Elizabeth Shaw serving for the Eagles. That one dug out. Sherman with the set over to Bach. She'll hit it back, and this time deflected too hard inbounds.
And again, spacing by the Tigers. All the players on the court were at least above that blue line, separating about half the court, and it just went right past them.
Shaw continues to serve. New Ulm looking to get on a little bit of a run. This time she hits the net, and it will fall back on her side.
That's a tough way to end a scoring run if you're New Ulm. You got a little bit of momentum going your way, and you commit a service there.
Jordan Hilgeman back to serve. Really hard serve, and that one lands in. Hits the outer side of the playing area, and that was an absolute rocket from Jordan Hilgeman.
It looked like from up here it was going to be long, way long. But somehow it spun down, landed right in front of the line. Great serve there.
Hilgeman once again going right back to that hard serve, hit right back, and once again, Sophia Bach able to send it back.
And that's great concentration too by the front line for the Tigers. See, the ball will be coming over the net, making sure you're not going over before it comes over the net. A will find the open spot, A will get the point.
That one hit up in the air. It's going to be a free ball over to the Tigers. Sherman with the set over to Bach, and she slams it down.
Great kill there by Bach. And again, great set there by Sherman. And again, a point for the Tigers. And one thing I've noticed, Hilgeman's got probably one of the hardest serves I've seen in high school girls volleyball.
If you notice when she throws that ball up, she rolls it in, so as it goes over, that's what creates that downward spiral out of bounds there. So another service ace. When you throw that ball in the air and it's got that forward spin, when you hit it, it's going to keep that momentum going, and as it goes over the net, it's just going to sink completely hard to try to return, and not many people can do it successfully. Winchell back to serve. That one into the net. The Eagles having some problem with service errors in this game.
It's their second service error, and it's tough. You get the point, you get the serve right after a service error committed by the Tigers, and you give it right back.
Schwartz serving. Dug out, and it will be hit over by Donner. Nice save there by Schneibly, and Marshall able to get it over. And what a save! Good sequence there by Marshall to at least keep the ball alive. And now they're going to get a free ball. That one hit back by Hilgeman, and she will not be able to get it over the net, so that'll be a point for the Eagles. Really good job there by Marshall just to keep that ball alive.
It almost seems like when you make the plays like that, you almost deserve the point there. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case. Marshall committed a net violation, point for the Eagles.
Jones hits it. It's guys in the air, just missing the basketball hoop. Hit over by Donner. Schwartz with the serve over to Andrews, and it is down and a point for Marshall.
Had that gone in the hoop, though, would that have been 2 points?
Unfortunately, it would not be 2 points. Madison Wagner checking in. She is serving. Hit up in the air. Be sent back on a tip and cannot be grabbed by Hilgeman.
And there's some space there for the Eagles to find the spot. Get that little bit of a tip shot in there. And again, can the Eagles go on a little bit of a run? Tigers still got 6 more points to get before the end of the set. So there's still a chance the Eagles come back in this first set.
Hit over, and that one will be out of bounds. Morris again on that hard hit that just redirected out of bounds.
That's the second time we've seen where the Eagles been able to get the block, but deflects off their hands where it goes out of bounds.
Schneibly serving. A little miscommunication there from the Eagles. Gets a free ball over to Marshall. Sherman hits it way long. Get that snap down that you usually want on a hit. Right there by Wagner. Schwarz over to Sherman. She'll tip it over. Nice save there by the Eagles. They'll hit it over and into the net. At the Eagles, they can't really get any power on any of their hits.
Yeah, a couple times it looks like they're more leaning backwards. They're not able to get a lot of momentum going forward like you would see typically on a spike. But again, just when it seems like the Eagles might get on a little bit run, Tigers get the point, get the serve right back where they'll get a couple more points.
Sherman was on the serve. That one dug on nicely by Wagner. Sherman with it. Get hit over by Morris. Windshield blocked right back into her. Marshall is now 3 points away from ending this first set.
And so far it's been a dominant set too by the Tigers. Commit some errors, but again, they're making New Ulm commit more of the errors than them forcing the errors.
Sherman barely lofts that one over into the net and just saved over by the Eagles. Wagner with it. Sherman this time gonna serve. That one back to Morris, and it will be tipped out of bounds. We're going to get the second and final timeout called by the head coach for New Ulm Eagles. We will step aside. You are watching Tiger Volleyball on Tiger TV. Marshall with a commanding lead, only 2 points to the end of set number 1. They just been controlling this game from the beginning. Sherman back to serve. That one misplayed by Ellie Butte, and now it is set point for Marshall.
And it seems like when the Tigers get set point, they're going to get on this next serve.
See if they get it here. That one is misplayed as well, and they will. They'll get the set point on an ace. Marshall with just an absolute control of set number 1. New Ulm will try to look to answer. We will step aside for a set break. You are watching Tiger Volleyball on Tiger TV. Marshall takes that first set handily. They win 25-11. We'll see if New Ulm can maybe answer here in the second set. Sam Perel alongside Matt Metzler. And Matt, what did you see in that first set for Marshall that just allowed them to dominate?
Well, mostly they were letting the balls go out of bounds that they knew were going to go out of bounds. They weren't trying to overplay these balls that are getting returned. And that's one thing you got to look for, is you're not playing bad balls, because if you start playing those, there's a chance you could end up hitting it back out of bounds and you lose the point. So great vision, making sure you know where the ball's going to end up. And a couple of great serves there by Hilgeman kept Marshall in the lead.
We'll get a first hit here from Sherman, and she's able to knock it home. Marshall out to an early lead, and right there, Matt, saw in that replay, Sherman, she was just able to avoid the block altogether and get it right past him.
Yeah, the Eagles were in great position for that block, but Sherman had the vision to knock it off more of the side, not try to go through, and end up being a great point for the Tigers.
Some more communication issues for the Eagles. They've had them all night. Leads to another point for Marshall. Erica Jones serving. Schwarz with it. She'll hit over to Morris, and that one bounces right off of the shoulder of Elizabeth Wolkow. She looks to be okay. You see on this replay, there was nothing she could do with that one, Matt.
And it looked like from our angle, too, it almost like she might have taken it off like the cheek or off the forehead, but luckily it just was off the shoulder. We don't want to see anybody get hurt that way.
Andrews has her hit set back. Sherman powers it right down. Logan Sherman has just been the absolute workhorse for Marshall in this game. She's hit, she's blocked, she's even done a little setting match. She just does it all.
But those are fourth kills so far tonight. Those are 4 big points for the Tigers.
A tip over by Andrews is going to be good. Marshall continuing the roll that they were on since the beginning.
And Andrews tried to go over the blockers there. She saw there was a little bit of room behind the front line, but somehow was able to still get it over. It was touched, but it still ended up working out for the Tigers.
That one just misplayed by Schwarz.
And that was a big point for the Eagles. They're down 5-0 to start off the second set. They need a big point there. Hopefully this would be the point for the Eagles to get them rolling.
That hit was by Wick. Now Schwarz is going to set it up. And another good hit by Bria Morris.
And so far in the second set, the Tigers have been absolutely missing those blockers for Eagles. Eagles, a couple times in the first set, they're able to get their hands on the ball. Sometimes it went out of bounds. So far, the blockers have not been able to block the ball.
Eagles try tipping it over, but that does not work. Morris on the hit. Good communication there by the Eagles. Schwarz will set up. Miscommunication now by the Tigers. Schneidley's able to send it over. We are going to get an illegal hit by New Ulm, so that'll be another point for the Tigers.
And again, the importance of those long volleys, more chance to possibly hit out of bounds or an illegal hit like we saw with the Eagles. So very important for the Tigers to keep in position and make sure you're getting good hits.
Another ace for Schneidley, and we are going to get a timeout called by the Eagles. We will step aside during this timeout. You are watching Tiger Volleyball on Tiger TV.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Marshall keeping their momentum rolling. Got a 7-point lead in this second set. That one hit way out of bounds by Madeline Gagg.
And it looked like that set there for Gagg was just a little bit behind her. If it would have been in front of her, she would have gotten some momentum, better placement. But again, because the ball was behind her, she couldn't really aim it that well.
That one hit back and good for the Eagles.
And great job there, making sure that the ball came over. We saw that a couple times in the first set with the Tigers, making sure the ball comes over because you don't want to get an over the net penalty, lose a point. But great job, and also finding some space where the Tigers weren't.
Sent over, nice dig by Jones, and a tip over by Sherman is gonna be good. Sherman hitting hard and hitting soft. She's just racking up kills in this game.
But if you're the Eagles, it almost seems like every time you finally get the point, you give it right back.
Sherman with a floater serve. That one is over. Sherman will set for Jones, and she powers that one down. Marshall is just on fire in this match.
Well, again, that perfect placement there, and it was right in front of the refs because she actually got hit by the ball after the bounce, but great spot, making sure it stayed in. Again, Marshall's been able to find the spots where the Eagle defense is not at. And it's been tough for the Eagles staying put, especially under these long volleys.
Another misdirection there. We're going to get a pushback by Hilgeman, but this is too far. Nice thought there by Hilgeman, but just pushing it a little bit too far out of bounds.
And on that previous point that the Tigers got, the Eagles sat back, looked at it, seeing if it was going to stay out. This time it benefited the Eagles because it just barely went over the line. Great job there, recognizing that the ball was going to land out of bounds.
Getting a sub in, Courtney Toulouse. First time seeing her. We're going to get a set to the other side of the net for Morris. That one up in the air. Sherman with the set. Marshall is just banging the ball off of these blockers, and down and in, another block for Marshall.
Again, great job there by the Marshall blockers, getting the point off of a block. But one thing we saw in that long rally by both teams was able to get the deflection off the block, give yourself a better chance, get a good deflection, get your sets going, and get a chance for a spike.
Another block for Marshall. They cannot be stopped with the block.
And there's not that much space either there but the Eagles are just not anticipating that block coming back into play.
Kaya Suker checked in and had those last two serves, but that one will fall on the Marshall side, so that'll be a point for New Ulm.
And a little bit off balance spike there, still able to find it in. And again, Eagles cannot be trading points to the Tigers here. That's not the way for them to come back in this set, and hopefully in other sets as well.
Ball retrieved from deep in the hallways here at Marshall High School. It looked like one of the parents was able to go find it. We can continue action here. That one way out of bounds.
And that one went right towards our camera woman, Bailey. She got a great footage of that as we look on the replay of incoming right there.
And it hit the camera. She looks like she's okay down there. Our camera's okay.
And that's the most important thing, the camera's okay.
I don't know, Matt. I'd be more worried about Bailey, but... What a hit from Erica Jones that could not be played by New Ulm.
Wolko almost had a chance for it, just bounced out of bounds. But again, Eagles and Tigers are trading points, which is not good for the Eagles.
And another block straight down. Combination of Andrews and Bach. Marshall just continues to roll in this match. It's Wegner back serving. And misdirection again. Yeah, a little misdirection on both sides, but what a save by Jones. That one hit, and it's going to go to Marshall. Net violation.
And it doesn't go down the book, but great hustle there. Jones, who slipped, or not really slipped, but she dove for that save, runs back to the front line, even though they didn't get the block, but great hustle there. That shows you how much this game means to the Tigers.
That's something every coach loves as we get another net ace, this time for Marshall. See it right here. That one just hit the top of the net and just landed right almost underneath it. Can't really give server that much credit. There you just get the luck of the bounce.
Well, and it benefited the Eagles in the first set, like we've talked about before. In tennis, that would be a let, but in volleyball, the ball's still live.
We are going to get a second timeout called here by New Ulm. That's their second and last one. So we will step aside for this timeout. You're watching Tiger Volleyball on Tiger TV.
Do you want to retire like a champ? Just like legendary basketball star Uncle Drew?
Don't do him like that, Uncle Drew.
You're already acing the game. You've got your dream ride.
Don't be slamming my door.
Sorry about that.
You just did the same. Gotta get the boys.
Your dream vacation and your dream team. And now you can make your retirement just as legendary.
I get buckets.
Get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Suppose these hot ashes are about to be dumped.
Marshall's with another commanding lead, up 15 in this second set. Sam Prell alongside Matt Metzler. We have a little back and forth at the net. Jones with a nice hit. Saved over and sent back over. That was Olbrecht. Jones is going to send a free ball over, but they're going to get a free ball right back. Does Marshall. Sent back and a kill. Shelby Versavel. She's seeing her first action tonight.
And at first, it looked like the refs were going to give that one to New Ulm, because it did look like the ball was on the New Ulm side when the Tiger player hit it, but they're going to give the point to the Tigers.
Coach Dan Westby getting a lot of his reserves in. Keziah Knutson just entering the game. Sherman saves it, and Knutson's going to get a kill.
That's something you like, coming right off the bench, making a big play, getting yourself in the game. Now it's 4 points for set point for the Tigers.
The only usual players out there are Sherman and Jones. Connor's going to send it over. Nice dig by Wegner. And sent right back. Get another opportunity. The Eagles are going to send a free ball over to Marshall. Back and forth we go. And a little miscommunication there for Marshall. We're going to get a double hit on Versavel.
And that was tough for the Tigers. You had, all the Eagles were bunched. They had room down the left and right side, but Versavel unable to hit it to a teammate before she hit it again.
Jones with it. That one hit high in the air and into the bleachers. The Tigers are just absolutely hitting the cover off the ball, to use a baseball reference, but man, they're hitting the balls hard tonight.
I'll counter that with another baseball reference. Hit it where they ain't. That's what the Tigers have been able to do tonight.
That one up in the air. Nice save there by Jones. Play getting a little bit sloppy. And that one tipped out of bounds. So New Ulm putting together a little bit of a scoring rally. Definitely hard here. Got a lot of players on the floor that either don't usually see time or don't see a lot of time together, so communication a little bit off. Wilkow sends it over. Wagner from the back row. That one's sent back, and that's dangerous. We got some back and forth action at the net.
Looked like there might have been a double hit that went uncalled.
Sherman with the set over to Jones, right down into the ground.
Again, with those long rallies, once it gets to the third or fourth time on each side, it's going to be anybody's point right there. So great job. The Tigers staying in position, letting New Ulm get out of position, give them room for a spike.
Is Jones back serving. Nice call by Knudsen, acknowledging that that ball was out and just letting it go. Jones will be back playing match point. She'll float that one in. Just tipped over. Another battle at the net. We've seen a few of those just in the last few points. Another battle at the net, and this one's going to be won by Marshall. Marshall takes a 2-0 lead, and they have been dominant all throughout. We will step aside, and we will come back with the third set. Marshall leading 2-0. This is Tiger Volleyball on Tiger TV. We are back for the third set. Erica Jones serving Marshall up 2-0. Sampro alongside Matt Metzler. We get a hit over by Morris. Another free ball over to Marshall and hit right down by Sherman. Matt, it's been all Tigers tonight.
It's been all Tigers, but at points during both sets, Eagles have looked good. And if you're the coach of the Eagles right now, you're telling them basically, hey, we're down 2 sets. You can't get all 25 points back in one volley. You just got to play it 1 point at a time. You keep doing that, you might get back in this game. Also, you can't win the whole thing by just winning this next set. So very important for them, like you said, Matt, to take it one set and 1 point at a time. Right now they find themselves already in a 2-point hole. A lot of miscommunication by New Ulm tonight. Schwarz finds Andrews. And Morris is gonna send it back. Again, Eagles were out of position a little bit. They only had one blocker there, so usually you go from 4 hands, 2 hands. You're not gonna be able to get the ball a lot of the time. And again, great job by the Marshall Spikers. As we see it again in that point as well.
We've seen a lot of that from Marshall in this game. They've got a lot of hard hitters And when they do that, it comes back off of the dig or the set right over to their side. And all Marshall's front line has to do is just hit it right back into New Ulm's face, and they've done that successfully all night.
And it's also been a great job by the Marshall setters as well, making sure the spikers are getting good sets. And then also, what we talked about earlier, get some service there, or get some service aces. Those are free points.
See it right there. Erica Jones on a roll, but she's going to be subbed out for Kate Boucher. Seeing her first action of the night, Dan Westby with a 2-set lead and rolling already in this third set. We're going to see a lot of faces that we don't typically see.
And just like in the last set, Tigers went up early 5-0 on the Eagles. Eagles able to get the next point. But let's see what the Eagles can do, see if they can try to get back in this volleyball match.
That was a nice play by Madeline Gegg, seeing that the blockers were there and hitting it right over. Gegg with it, she's pumped up her intensity a little bit. Sherman now tips it over and just in front of the hand of Nora Winchell.
That big spike there by Gegg. Almost, that would have hurt my hands just sitting up here, just hearing that smack. But great job blocking it for the Tigers, and they're able to get the point.
Maya Schneibly back. Her serve is misplayed, but Eagles are able to get it over. Morris right down, just to the left of Wolkow for another point for the Tigers.
And again, you see the space between the two blockers. That's going to be plenty of space for a good volleyball player. Making sure she's getting her spike through.
And another ace for Marshall. They have had plenty of those tonight. Eagles just unable to handle the serves.
It's been about 6 or 7 service aces for the Tigers, 2 so far in this set.
Hit over by the Eagles.
And great job on that spike there. Saw that there was nobody back there in that back left corner. Easy spike. Again, can the Eagles keep this going?
They got to put together a lot of runs with no errors. Schwartz with the set. Hit off the top of the blockers. Sherman hit right back. This one's hit back at Marshall, getting a little taste of their own medicine there.
Well, and that's been one of the few instances where New Ulm has been able to get points off of blocks, but it looked like earlier in that set, there was a hit ball, and the Eagles decided to play it. It looked like it could have gone out, but again, great job keeping it alive. They're still able to get the point, but again, one thing that always hurts you is those service errors.
Another service error for the Eagles. Emily Meyer will check in. Youngest player on this Tiger roster. She's a sophomore, the only sophomore on the varsity roster. Everyone else, juniors and seniors. So good for her right now to get in a game like this. Get herself a little varsity experience, because in a couple years, she may be running this team.
Well, one thing too, it benefits in a couple weeks they start playoffs. There's a chance she could play. There could be an injury along the line. We're not saying that's going to happen, but there's a chance that she could get in, get some experience, because it only helps getting in as much as possible when you're a freshman or a sophomore.
That one sails out of bounds. This time a free ball goes back over to New Ulm. Misplayed, but Marshall's still able to get it over. That time unable to be dug out by Boucher.
That's great job by the Eagles, not pressing after seeing a couple of those hops or bounces that went towards the Tigers. And again, can they keep this rally going?
That one hit down. A nice dig out, and it'll be a free ball over to Marshall. They benefited a lot from these tonight. Sherman. And hit back. But they say that it did not. Hit an Eagles player, so that's going to be 4 on Marshall.
Again, the Eagles are taking it 1 point at a time. They were down 7 at one point, now they're down by 4.
Big hit there from Morris. Eagles going to reset. Schneibly with the set over to Morris. She hits it over, and misdirection and a little miscommunication right there. Gets another point for Marshall.
And the Tigers benefit a little bit there. Looked like that would be an easily played ball. Took a little bit of deflection. But again, somehow the Eagles the entire night left that middle of the court wide open. Again, unable to get there after it takes a couple deflections.
Kaya Suker checks back in. She's back to serve. That one hit back over by Hilgeman. Nice awareness by her. This time hit off the block. So the Eagles score another point. They only find themselves down by 4.
Again, it's still early in the set. Anything could happen. Tigers need 14 more points. Eagles are still in this. But again, the one thing is when you're trailing, you can't make mistakes. Now, so far, Eagles have been doing a pretty good job of this in the third set.
Schall checks in for the Eagles, and she goes back and serves as Schneibly hits it into the net.
And that's one thing we haven't seen the Tigers do a lot, is hit it into the net when they're trying to play it. And only a couple more times where they've hit it out of bounds while playing it. So the Tigers haven't been committing a lot of errors as well tonight.
Sherman with the set. Is hit by Jones. And the Tigers able to get it over. Sherman up by Schneibly. And Jones hits it over, and not really sure if that one was going to go over or not. Windshield watched it and then realized that it was coming down to the ground.
And one thing on that deflection too, it almost had more of a side spin rather than a top spin to keep it going over the net, and that's what confused the front line for the Eagles.
So Wegner checks in and goes back to serve. That one hit off of the block and down for a point. The Eagles are finding themselves now only down 3.
And that's one thing too. You saw the space between the two blockers, easy for get the spike through. And again, it's been back. This is a much more competitive set than we've seen the first 2 sets between the Eagles and the Tigers.
Sherman now, Meyer will hit it over, and her hit is out. So now Marshall only find themselves with a 2-point lead. It's Windshield back to serve. That one hit way out of bounds.
So the shots or the spikes that the Tigers have been able to put in in the first 2 sets, they haven't been really able to locate here in the third set, and leaving a lot of them out of bounds.
Tigers all throughout the first few sets, they hit the ball hard. They hit it hard down. Now they're hitting it long. Sherman with the set, and into the net goes Jones.
And again, just like that, it's now tied up here in the third set. Eagles been able to take it 1 point at a time, and they're right back in this.
All tied up. Dan Westby, the head coach, not looking too worried over there. His girls have a 2-0 lead. Tip over by Andrews is good, so Marshall gets back on the right track.
And how do you stop a big run by the Eagles? You get a point right back for the Tigers.
So Rachel Schwartz checks back in. Marshall with a look that you don't typically see with volleyball. A 2-setter group out there with Sherman and Schwartz, but with Sherman being so good at hitting the way she is, you almost want a second setter out there so that she can get her opportunity to hit the ball.
Well, and on that previous point for the Tigers, it was their third service ace. But again, a service error committed by the Tigers keeps the Eagles right back in this.
Eagles still only trailing by 1. That one hits straight up in the air. It comes down to Jones right at the net. Donner hitting it long, and that one is way out.
And that went almost by our other cameraman, Nick. Unable to hit the camera, so the camera and Nick are safe there.
Hit just to the right, landing in the bleacher in between them. And Nick unfazed over there. So we get a salute from him. Set over into the block. Nice dig by Sherman. Schwarz barely hits it over. Outside to Morris. Her hit way down.
Now, if you're the Tigers, this is where you try to distance yourself from the Eagles. You're on a little bit of a run. You're up 3. If you before the next point, you could give up. You at least want to be up by 5.
Hit down by Donner. Morris with a nice dig. Then Morris will get the hit. And misplayed there by the Eagles. So Marshall getting that distance that you just talked about, Matt. Now up by 4. And only 8 points away from ending this match.
And the miscommunication we've seen here in the first 2 sets are starting to haunt the Eagles a little bit here late in the 3rd set.
A little bit of an awkward hit there for Madeline Gegg as she went up to the peak of her jump and started to hit the ball on her way down, so only got it with her fingertips, and Marshall really didn't have an answer for that.
And it still worked, you know. It's just one of those things where sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Paige Andrews with the hit. So Marshall still with that 14-point lead. Maya Schneibly checking in. Schneibly sends it over. And that one hit right into the net by Olivia Wick. The Eagles are going to take a timeout here. We will step aside with them for this timeout. You're watching Tiger Volleyball on Tiger TV.
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince.
Back on replays, you see some of the younger New Ulm players doing a little roller coaster, trying to make light of the situation that their varsity team is in as Schneibly goes right into the net.
And in this Big South Conference matchup, you want this to be competitive. First 2 sets haven't looked like, but here in this 3rd set, it's been a lot more competitive between these 2 teams.
Schneibly with a nice dig. Sherman just has to tap it over. That hit way out of bounds by Toulouse.
And again, probably what was discussed during that timeout. Hey, we're only down 5 going into the timeout. We still got a chance to come back. Tigers still need 6 points to end this game. Again, you got to take it 1 point at a time. You won't get all these points back in one volley.
Here's Morris with a big hit right through the blockers and right down the line. Couldn't have placed that ball any better.
Again, just right to the left of the far left blocker. It will find some room. Again, pinpoint accuracy so far what we've seen from the Tigers.
She went right over one of the Eagle players' heads. Sherman serves sent back as a free hit. We're going to get an illegal hit by the Eagles, but Marshall only 4 points away from ending this match.
And for the Eagles, you can't be trading points with the Tigers. You got to get on these. You got to get on a run.
Sherman this time floats it over. That one hit very hard by Winchell. Meyer turns back around and returns the favor.
Again, Tigers 3 points away from winning this match. And again, it's can the Eagles bounce back?
The Eagles are going to take their second timeout, so we will step aside. You're watching Marshall Volleyball on Tiger TV.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sherman back to serve. Marshall only needs 3 points to get a clean sweep over New Ulm. Sherman will loft it over. Winchell with the hit, dug out nicely by Sherman. It's hit by Meyer to the back row. It's dig out there by Obrecht. Sherman now with the set, hit right down the line.
Again, the last 2 points we've seen from the Tigers were pinpoint accuracy on their spikes. But great defense there by the Eagles, as they forced them to have to do the pinpoint accuracy, otherwise the ball would be out of bounds.
So Sherman now with the game only 2 points away. Sherman with the set, nice hit by Versaville. And send right back over. Nice job there by Gag, putting it once again where Marshall was not.
Again, Marshall was out of position there, but great job there by Gag. There's been a few times where she looks like she's going to spike as hard as she can, kind of taps it, or there's times where she'll barely hit and then spike as hard as she can.
Meyer has to lean back in order to get that one over. And a block right back down. That was Versaville and Toulouse.
This is what you want for your Tigers. You want to end this match serving.
This is match point. Winchell with it, right down the line. Sherman with a nice dig. They can put it away here. And off of Donner, and Marshall is going to come away with the victory. Straight set win. Marshall wins 3-0. Look at this last hit from Jones. She's been hitting the ball hard all night, so nobody else you would want to go to there.
Again, Erica Jones was one of the people we talked about. Get her going on the spikes, because she's one of the best hitters the Tigers have.
So Marshall will improve to 17-3 on this season that's slowly winding to a close. And New Ulm is going to move to 10-11. And Matt, with this season winding down, good for Marshall to get a conference and section win.
Well, that was a great win for the Tigers. And again, for the Eagles, first 2 sets might not be competitive, but at least you made a really good competitive 3rd set, and that hopefully builds you some momentum in their future matches before playoffs.
Really good job all around by Marshall tonight, doing everything they needed to make this a win. Marshall wins 3-0 over the New Ulm Eagles. For Matt Metzler and our entire crew, I'm Sam Perrella saying thank you for tuning into Marshall Volleyball on Tiger TV.